The streets of Manhattan never sleep. Even at 7 in the evening, the concrete jungle pulses with life. Yellow cabs honking impatiently, business people rushing past with their eyes glued to smartphones, and the distant rumble of the subway beneath everyone's feet. The November air carries a sharp chill, and the first hints of winter bite at exposed skin. Street vendors pack up their carts while restaurants begin filling with the after-work crowd seeking warmth and comfort food. On the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street, beneath the towering glass facades of luxury boutiques and corporate headquarters, a small figure sits on a worn blanket. The child can't be more than 10 years old, wearing a thin jacket that's clearly too small, the sleeves ending well above bony wrists. Before the child sits a collection of flowers in mismatched plastic bottles, roses, carnations, and daisies, most of them wilting in the cold. The child's name is Sam, though most passers-by don't bother to ask. Dark circles shadow young eyes that have seen too much too soon. Dirty hands clutch the flowers, offering them up to the endless stream of people who walk past without a second glance. Sam's voice, hoarse from calling out all day, barely rises above the city noise. Flowers, please. Fresh flowers. Only $5. Most people don't even break stride. Some pull their coats tighter and look away, as if poverty might be contagious. Others mutter about their busy schedules, or shake their heads before Sam even finishes speaking. A few drop coins into the paper cup beside the blanket without stopping, their charity efficient and impersonal. Sam has been here since dawn. The morning had been even colder, frost coating the sidewalk until the sun rose high enough to melt it. Breakfast had been a stale bagel from a dumpster behind a cafe 3 blocks away. Lunch never came. The growling in Sam's stomach has become background noise, like the traffic. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Leave your city and country in the comments below. I love knowing where our community is tuning in from around the world. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share powerful stories like this every week, stories that remind us of our shared humanity and the unexpected ways lives can intersect. Don't miss what's coming next. Now, back to our story. As the evening deepens and the temperature continues to drop, a black Mercedes S-Class pulls up to the curb nearby. The vehicle is immaculate, its paint job reflecting the city lights like a dark mirror. The rear door opens, and a man steps out, his presence immediately commanding attention despite making no obvious effort to do so. Khalid al-Rahman is 53 years old, though his bearing suggests someone much younger. He wears a perfectly tailored charcoal suit beneath a wool overcoat, Italian leather shoes, and a watch that costs more than most people's cars. His salt and pepper beard is meticulously groomed, and his dark eyes carry the weight of someone who has built empires and navigated the treacherous waters of international business for decades. He's in New York for a series of high-stakes meetings. His investment portfolio spans 3 continents: real estate developments in Dubai, technology ventures in Silicon Valley, renewable energy projects in Europe. Forbes estimates his net worth at somewhere north of $3 billion, though Khalid has always been private about his exact wealth. He arrived in the city 3 days ago and has barely seen anything beyond conference rooms and 5-star hotel suites. His assistant, James, an efficient young man with a tablet permanently attached to his hand, walks slightly behind him. Mr. Al-Rahman, your dinner reservation at Le Bernardin is in 40 minutes. Traffic permitting, we should arrive with time to spare. Khalid nods absently, his attention already caught by something else. His eyes have landed on Sam, the small figure hunched on the blanket surrounded by dying flowers. He stops walking. James nearly collides with him. Sir, is everything all right? But Khalid doesn't respond immediately. He's watching the child try to sell a flower to a woman in a fur coat. The woman recoils as if Sam has offered her something toxic, her expression morphing from surprise to disgust in a heartbeat. She says something sharp, too distant for Khalid to hear the words, but the tone carries clearly enough, and hurries away. Sam's shoulders slump, and the child carefully places the rejected flower back in its bottle. Something twists in Khalid's chest. The feeling is unexpected and uncomfortable. He's seen poverty before, of course. It's impossible to travel the world and not witness suffering. But something about this particular child, this particular moment, breaks through the armor of detachment he's cultivated over years of business dealings. Wait here, Khalid tells James, who looks puzzled but nods. Khalid crosses the sidewalk, his expensive shoes clicking against the concrete. As he approaches, Sam looks up, hope flickering in tired eyes before being quickly replaced by wariness. Adults who approach usually either want to move Sam along or lecture about child labor laws, before doing nothing to actually help. Good evening, Khalid says gently, crouching down so he's at eye level with the child. His knees protest the position, Board meetings and long flights have made him less flexible than he once was. But he ignores the discomfort. Sam's voice comes out small. You want to buy flowers, sir? Up close, Khalid can see details that weren't visible from a distance. The child's hair is tangled and hasn't been properly washed in days. There's a bruise on one arm, partially hidden by the sleeve. Sam's fingernails are broken and dirty, but it's the eyes that affect Khalid most. Eyes that should be bright with childhood innocence instead carry a haunted quality that makes his heart ache. I would like to buy all of them, Khalid says. Sam blinks, certain this must be some kind of joke. All of them? Every single flower you have. Khalid pulls out his wallet, a slim leather piece that probably cost more than Sam has ever held in total. How much? Sam's hands tremble as the child counts the flowers. I have 32 flowers left. At $5 each, that's... Sam struggles with the math, exhaustion making even simple calculations difficult. $160. Khalid pulls out several bills and hands them over. $500 in crisp hundreds. Keep the change. Sam stares at the money as if it might disappear if looked away. Tears well up in the child's eyes. I can't. This is too much. It's exactly enough, Khalid says firmly. But I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Can you do that? Sam nods, clutching the bills like a lifeline. Where are your parents? The question hangs in the cold air. Sam's expression closes off, defensive walls slamming into place. I don't have to tell you that. You're right, you don't, Khalid acknowledges. But I'm concerned. A child your age shouldn't be out here alone in the cold, selling flowers. You should be home, safe and warm, having dinner with family. Something breaks in Sam's carefully maintained composure. The child's lower lip trembles. I don't have a home. And my mom is sick. Really sick. The story comes pouring out then, words tumbling over each other in a desperate rush. Sam's mother, Linda, used to work 2 jobs, one as a waitress, another as a night shift security guard. They weren't wealthy, but they had a small apartment in Queens, and there was always food on the table. Sam went to school and had friends and a normal life. Then Linda got sick. It started with fatigue that she blamed on her demanding schedule. Then came the pain, the weight loss, the doctor's visits that revealed the devastating truth: stage 3 ovarian cancer. The diagnosis came with an astronomical price tag. Linda's jobs didn't provide health insurance, and the treatments, chemotherapy, radiation, medications, cost more than she could ever afford. She tried to keep working, but eventually couldn't. They lost the apartment. Linda is currently at a shelter run by a church on the Lower East Side, too weak to do much beyond lie on a cot and try to rest between bouts of nausea and pain. Sam sells flowers every day, scraping together whatever money possible to buy Linda's medications, the ones insurance won't cover, the ones that might buy her a few more months. She doesn't know I'm out here, Sam admits, voice cracking. She thinks I'm staying at a friend's house after school, but I dropped out 2 months ago. If she knew, she'd make me stop. Even though we need the money, she'd rather die than see me on the streets. Khalid feels like he's been punched in the chest. He thinks about his own daughter, Amara, who's 11, just a year older than Sam. Amara attends the finest private school in Dubai, has a bedroom larger than most apartments, and has never known a moment of true hardship. She complains when her iPad charges too slowly, or when dinner isn't exactly what she wanted. The contrast is stark and shameful. What's your mother's name? Khalid asks. Linda Chen. Why? Khalid doesn't answer immediately. His mind is already working, calculating, planning. He pulls out his phone and makes a call, speaking rapidly in Arabic. James watches from a distance, confused by this unscheduled stop and the intensity of his employer's conversation. When Khalid ends the call, he looks back at Sam with an expression that's both kind and determined. I want to meet your mother. Will you take me to her? Sam's eyes widen with panic. No, I told you, she can't know I've been selling flowers. She'll be so upset. Then we'll tell her I'm someone else, Khalid says smoothly. A social worker, perhaps, or a volunteer from a charitable organization. We'll figure it out on the way. But please, Sam, I need to see her. There's something in his tone that brooks no argument. It's the same voice he uses when closing billion-dollar deals, when making it clear that refusal isn't an option. But beneath the authority is genuine concern, and Sam, starved for adult kindness, finds resistance crumbling. Okay, Sam whispers. Okay. James looks bewildered when Khalid waves him over and explains they're taking a detour. The driver, a stoic man named Robert who has worked for Khalid for years, accepts the change in plans without comment. They help Sam gather up the flowers and the thin blanket, and soon the child is sitting in the back of the Mercedes, surrounded by more luxury than has ever been experienced before. The leather seats are heated. Classical music plays softly from hidden speakers. Sam touches the wood trim on the door with wonder, leaving small fingerprints on the polished surface. Khalid doesn't care about the dirt or the potential damage. He's too busy making more phone calls, speaking in rapid-fire English and Arabic, issuing instructions that James frantically types into his tablet. The shelter is in a neighborhood that Khalid's usual circles never touch. The Mercedes looks absurdly out of place among the boarded-up storefronts and graffitied walls. Drug dealers eye the expensive car with interest before melting back into the shadows when they see Robert's imposing frame and alert posture. The church is a small brick building with a painted sign that's fading and cracked. A cross sits above the door, illuminated by a single spotlight. Inside, the shelter consists of several dozen cots, arranged in rows in what was once the church's recreation hall. The air smells of industrial disinfectant, unwashed bodies, and despair. Sam leads Khalid through the space, past people of all ages, families huddled together, elderly individuals sleeping fitfully, young men with hollow eyes. A few look up as they pass, taking in Khalid's expensive clothes with expressions ranging from curiosity to resentment. He feels profoundly out of place, but he keeps moving, following Sam to a cot near the back corner. Linda Chen is 34, but looks 20 years older. Cancer has ravaged her body, stealing her hair, her color, her vitality. She's thin, alarmingly so, her cheekbones sharp against papery skin. An IV bag hangs from a makeshift stand beside her cot, and her breathing is shallow and labored. But when she sees Sam, her face transforms with joy. "Baby, you're back!" Her voice is weak, but warm. Then she notices Khalid, and confusion clouds her features. "Who?" Sam looks at Khalid desperately, and he smoothly steps forward, extending his hand. "Mrs. Chen, my name is Khalid. I volunteer with an organization that helps families facing medical hardships. I encountered Sam by chance and heard about your situation. I hope it's not an intrusion, but I wanted to meet you and see if there's any assistance we might provide." It's not entirely a lie. Khalid does donate to numerous charities, though he's never volunteered in this capacity. But Linda, exhausted and ill, accepts the explanation with pathetic gratitude. "That's so kind," she breathes. "But really, we're managing. Sam is strong, and we have each other." Khalid pulls up a folding chair and sits beside her cot. Over the next 30 minutes, he gently coaxes out the full story. Linda's parents died years ago. Sam's father abandoned them before the child was born. Linda has no siblings, no support system beyond the staff at this shelter and the other desperate souls sharing the space. She's been denied Medicaid due to bureaucratic complications, missing paperwork, residency issues, a system designed more to exclude than to help. The cancer is treatable, potentially even curable, but not with the sporadic, inadequate care she's receiving. She needs consistent chemotherapy, better medications, possibly surgery. All of it costs money she doesn't have. The free clinic where she receives treatment does what it can, but resources are limited and demand is overwhelming. "The doctors say I have maybe 3 months without proper treatment," Linda says matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. 6 months to a year with it. So I'm trying to make the time count, to make sure Sam will be okay when I'm gone. There's a foster family the social worker mentioned. Good people who might take my baby." Her voice breaks on the last word, and Sam, who has been standing rigidly beside the cot, finally moves, taking Linda's hand. "Mom, you're not going anywhere. You're going to beat this." The faith in Sam's voice is heartbreaking because it's so clearly built on desperation rather than reality. Linda squeezes the small hand, tears running down her gaunt cheeks. Khalid has heard enough. He stands, his decision already made. "Mrs. Chen, I need to make some phone calls. I'll be back shortly." Outside the shelter, he stands on the cracked sidewalk. As evening turns to full night, the temperature has dropped further, and his breath comes out in visible clouds. He ignores the cold as he makes call after call, leveraging connections, pulling strings, making things happen with the speed that only immense wealth and influence can achieve. First, he calls Dr. Richard Morrison, the chief of oncology at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, one of the best cancer treatment facilities in the world. Dr. Morrison is an old friend. Khalid funded the construction of an entire wing of the hospital 5 years ago. The doctor answers on the second ring despite the late hour. "Richard, I need a favor." Khalid says without preamble. A patient, stage 3 ovarian cancer. She needs the best care available, immediately. I'm sending you her information now. Khalid, our waiting list is months long. There is no waiting list for this patient. She gets a bed tomorrow. I'll handle all costs personally. Pull whatever strings you need to pull. Dr. Morrison knows better than to argue when Khalid uses that tone. Send me her medical records, whatever you have. We'll make it happen. Next, Khalid calls his lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia, who handles his American affairs. He instructs her to immediately file all necessary paperwork for Linda to receive proper medical coverage, to cut through the bureaucratic red tape that has been strangling this family. Money, he's learned long ago, has a remarkable ability to make government processes move faster. Then he calls his real estate manager. I need an apartment, 2-bedroom, safe neighborhood, good school district, fully furnished. Available immediately. Mr. Al-Rahman, it's 8 o'clock at night. Then I suggest you work quickly. I want keys by tomorrow afternoon. Finally, he calls his banker and arranges for a substantial sum to be placed in a trust fund for Sam's education and future needs. Enough that the child will never have to sell flowers on a street corner again. Enough to ensure college, graduate school if desired. A solid foundation for whatever life Sam chooses to build. James, who has been listening to all of this with increasing amazement, finally speaks up. Sir, if you don't mind my asking, why? You don't know these people. Khalid is quiet for a long moment, watching his breath dissipate into the night air. When he speaks, his voice is softer than James has ever heard it. When I was Sam's age, I lived in a refugee camp on the Jordanian border. My family had fled when war came to our village. My father was a teacher, my mother a nurse. But in the camp, those skills meant nothing. There was no school, no hospital, just tents and despair and the constant fear that we'd never escape. One day, a man came to the camp, a wealthy businessman from Kuwait who was touring to see where his charitable donations were going. He saw me trying to study using a torn textbook I'd found in the trash, practicing my English by reading advertisements on the walls. He stopped and talked to me. Before he left, he arranged for my entire family to be sponsored for resettlement. He paid for my education, from primary school through university. He gave us a life we never could have achieved on our own. I asked him once why he did it. Do you know what he told me? He said, because someone helped me when I had nothing, and I promised I would pass it forward. I've spent 30 years building my fortune, James. I've bought properties and companies, invested in stocks and bonds, accumulated wealth beyond what any person reasonably needs, and yet I almost walked past a suffering child tonight because I had a dinner reservation. His voice hardens with self-recrimination. That man who saved my family didn't know me either. He didn't need a reason beyond seeing someone in need and having the means to help. If I've become so caught up in my own life that I can ignore a child selling flowers in the cold, then I've failed everything he taught me. James nods slowly, understanding dawning. What you're doing for this family, it's extraordinary. It's necessary, Khalid corrects, and it's overdue. They return inside. Linda has fallen into a restless sleep, her breathing raspy and uneven. Sam sits beside her, holding her hand, keeping vigil. The child looks up when Khalid approaches, eyes red from crying. Is she going to die? Sam asks bluntly. Khalid crouches down again, his knees protesting more than before. Not if I can help it. Sam, I need you to listen carefully. Tomorrow, your mother is going to be transferred to Memorial Sloan Kettering. It's one of the best cancer centers in the world. They're going to give her the treatment she needs. The real treatment that can actually fight this disease. Sam's eyes widen. But we can't afford... You don't need to afford anything. It's taken care of. All of it. The hospital bills, the medications, everything. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Khalid thinks about the man from Kuwait, about the refugee camp, about the path his life has taken. Because someone did it for me once, and I promised to pass it forward. Because you remind me of myself at your age, brave and desperate, and trying so hard to save someone you love. Because I have the means to help, and it would be morally wrong to walk away when I can make a difference. Tears stream down Sam's face. I don't know how to thank you. Then don't. Just promise me something. When you're older, when you're in a position to help someone else, you'll do it. Pass it forward. Just like I'm doing now. Sam nods frantically, unable to speak through the sobs. Over the next few days, Khalid stays in New York, canceling meetings and disappointing business partners to oversee Linda's transfer and initial treatment. Dr. Morrison and his team work quickly, running tests, developing a treatment plan, beginning chemotherapy with medications far superior to what Linda has been receiving. The apartment Khalid arranges is in a safe neighborhood in Queens, close to the hospital for easy visits. It comes fully furnished with everything they might need: dishes, linens, even food in the refrigerator and pantry. Sam gets a real bedroom for the first time in months, with an actual bed and a desk for homework once the child returns to school. And Linda begins to fight. The better medications, the consistent care, the removal of the crushing weight of financial despair, all of it gives her strength she didn't have before. The doctors are cautiously optimistic. They catch her cancer before it's too late, and with aggressive treatment, they believe they can beat it. Khalid visits the hospital regularly during those first weeks. He sits with Linda while she goes through chemotherapy, holding her hand through the nausea and pain, telling her stories about his own struggles and triumphs. He talks with Sam about school, about dreams and aspirations, about the future that's suddenly possible again. He learns that Sam wants to be a teacher, specifically wanting to work with underprivileged kids who need someone to believe in them. The revelation doesn't surprise Khalid at all. Despite everything Sam has endured, there's no bitterness in the child's heart, only compassion and determination to help others avoid similar suffering. Word of Khalid's actions begins to spread, despite his attempts to keep things private. A hospital staff member mentions it to a friend who happens to be a journalist. The journalist writes a story, "Billionaire's random act of kindness saves dying mother," and it goes viral. Suddenly, Khalid's phone is flooded with interview requests, people wanting to know why he helped a random family, what motivated such generosity. He refuses most of them, uncomfortable with the attention. This wasn't about publicity or burnishing his image. It was simply about doing what was right. But one interview request catches his attention. A small non-profit organization that works with homeless families asks if he'd be willing to speak at their fundraising gala. They've seen a massive surge in donations since his story broke, and they want to capitalize on the momentum. Khalid agrees, but only on the condition that Linda and Sam join him. The gala is held at a Manhattan hotel, a glittering affair with New York's wealthy and influential in attendance. Khalid takes the stage in a tuxedo, looking every inch the successful businessman. But Linda and Sam stand beside him. Linda still thin, but with color returning to her cheeks, her hair beginning to grow back in soft patches, and Sam wearing new clothes that actually fit, looking like a child should look, hopeful and healthy. Khalid tells their story. He doesn't sugarcoat the reality of what he found that night on Fifth Avenue, a child selling flowers in the cold, a mother dying from treatable illness, a system that had failed them completely. He talks about his own past, sharing details he rarely discusses publicly about the refugee camp and the man who changed his family's trajectory. We live in a world of immense wealth and devastating poverty, often existing side by side, he tells the silent audience. We walk past suffering every day, training ourselves not to see it because acknowledging it means accepting that we could do something about it. I almost made that mistake. I almost walked past Sam that night because I had somewhere more important to be. But there is nothing more important than this. There is no meeting, no business deal, no obligation that matters more than seeing a fellow human being in need and choosing to help. We can't all write checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we can all stop and see each other. We can all choose compassion over convenience. He looks at Sam, who stares back with an expression of such profound gratitude that Khalid has to pause to compose himself. This child was ready to sacrifice everything for a parent. That kind of love, that kind of courage, deserves to be met with equal commitment from those of us who have been fortunate enough to escape poverty's grip. I challenge everyone in this room, everyone watching this story unfold, to find your own Sam. Find someone who needs help and have the courage to provide it. Don't wait for someone else to step up. Be the person who makes a difference. The applause is thunderous. But more importantly, the donations pour in. Not just that night, but in the weeks and months that follow. The non-profit that organized the gala sees their funding triple. Other charities report similar surges. Khalid's story has sparked something, a reminder to people drowning in their own concerns that there's a bigger world out there, one where individual actions can create ripples of change. 3 months later, Linda's scans come back clear. The cancer is in remission. Dr. Morrison is pleased but cautious. She'll need ongoing monitoring and treatment for years to come, but the prognosis has gone from terminal to hopeful. She cries when he delivers the news. And Sam, sitting beside her in the oncologist's office, cries too. Khalid, who insisted on being there for the results, feels his own eyes grow damp. He thinks about the man from Kuwait, wonders if he's still alive, wishes he could tell him that his kindness continues to reverberate across time and space, creating new stories of redemption and hope. Linda gets a job once she's strong enough. Nothing glamorous, just part-time work at a bookstore that offers flexible hours and health insurance. It's enough, combined with the trust fund Khalid established to provide stability. Sam returns to school and thrives, making friends, joining clubs, being a child again. They have dinner together once a month, the three of them, Khalid, Linda, and Sam. Sometimes they go to nice restaurants where Khalid insists on paying. Other times, Linda cooks in their Queen's apartment. Simple meals that taste like gratitude and second chances. Khalid brings his daughter Amara on one of these visits, wanting her to understand that wealth comes with responsibility. Amara and Sam become friends, despite their vastly different backgrounds. Amara learns what real courage looks like, sees firsthand what her father's money can accomplish when used with intention and compassion. She tells Khalid one night, as they're flying back to Dubai, that she wants to help people like he helped Sam and Linda. "Then you will," Khalid tells her, feeling a surge of pride. "I'll teach you how." 5 years pass. Linda remains in remission, her health slowly improving. She gets promoted at the bookstore, becomes a manager, finds joy in recommending books to customers and organizing community reading events. Sam is 16 now, thriving in high school, preparing college applications with an impressive list of achievements and volunteer work. The child who once sold flowers in the cold has become an articulate young person with clear goals and unshakable determination. Khalid attends Sam's high school graduation, sitting in the audience beside Linda as they watch Sam walk across the stage to receive a diploma and several scholarship offers. Sam gives a valedictorian speech that references that cold November night, talking about kindness from strangers and the importance of seeing each other's humanity. "5 years ago, I thought my life was over before it really began," Sam says, voice strong and clear. "I was cold, hungry, and watching the person I loved most in the world slowly die. Then a man stopped when everyone else kept walking. He didn't know me. He didn't owe me anything, but he saw me, really saw me, and decided that my life mattered. Mr. Al-Rahman taught me that we're all connected, that one person's suffering should concern us all, and that individual actions can create massive change. He saved my mother's life and gave me a future. But more than that, he taught me how to be human in a world that often rewards us for looking away. I'm going to college in the fall to study education because I want to be the person who sees the kids everyone else ignores. I want to be the teacher who recognizes potential in places others see only problems. I want to pass forward the gift I was given, creating new chains of kindness that spread out into the world." The audience rises in a standing ovation. Khalid claps until his hands hurt, pride overwhelming him. This, he thinks, is why he was supposed to stop that night, not just to save 2 lives, but to set in motion a future where Sam will go on to help countless others, where Amara has learned to use her privilege responsibly, where the man from Kuwait's original act of kindness continues to echo forward through time. After the ceremony, as they're taking pictures and celebrating, a young journalist approaches. She's doing a follow-up piece on the billionaire and the flower child, as the media has dubbed their story. She wants to know how it feels to have changed someone's life so dramatically. Khalid considers the question carefully before answering. "People keep calling what I did extraordinary, but that's the problem. Helping someone in need should be ordinary. It should be the default response when we encounter suffering, not something noteworthy enough for news stories. I didn't do anything that any person with resources couldn't do. I just chose to stop and see another human being. I chose compassion over convenience. That should be normal, not exceptional." He looks at Sam and Linda, standing together in the sunshine, both healthy and smiling, and full of hope for the future. "The truth is, they changed my life as much as I changed theirs. They reminded me why wealth exists. Not to hoard or to display, but to use as a tool for reducing suffering and expanding possibility. They gave my money meaning beyond numbers in an account." The journalist asks one final question. "What do you want people to take away from your story?" Khalid doesn't hesitate. "That we all have the capacity to be someone's miracle. We all walk past our own versions of Sam every single day. People who are struggling, suffering, hoping for someone to stop and see them. You don't need billions of dollars to make a difference. You just need the courage to care and the willingness to act. Stop walking past. Stop training yourself not to see. Look at the people around you. Really look at them. And when you see someone in need, when you have even the smallest ability to help, do it. Pass it forward. Create chains of kindness that spread out beyond your ability to track them. That's how we change the world. Not through grand gestures that make headlines, but through thousands of individual choices to care for each other." As the sun sets over the graduation ceremony, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, Khalid thinks about the man from Kuwait one more time. He imagines him smiling, pleased that his legacy continues to grow. Khalid hopes that Sam will find someone to help, years from now, and that person will help someone else, creating an endless chain of compassion stretching into a future none of them will live to see. That night, Khalid returns to his hotel and finds himself unable to sleep, despite the long day. He goes to the window and looks out at the Manhattan skyline, at the city that brought him and Sam together on that November evening 5 years ago. Somewhere out there, he knows, other children are suffering. Other families are desperate. Other stories are waiting to unfold. He can't save them all. No one person can, but the trying matters. The individual acts of kindness, multiplied across thousands or millions of people, can shift the entire world toward greater compassion and justice. His phone buzzes with a text from Sam. "Thank you for everything. I'll make you proud," Khalid texts back. "You already have." And in that moment, standing in his luxury hotel room in a city that contains both unimaginable wealth and devastating poverty, Khalid al-Rahman understands that the man from Kuwait did more than save his family. He planted a seed that has grown into something larger than any of them could have anticipated. A reminder that we are our brother's keepers, that wealth without compassion is meaningless, and that sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply stop and see each other. The story of the billionaire and the flower child spreads far beyond New York. It's shared on social media millions of times, translated into dozens of languages, used in schools to teach about empathy and responsibility. Other wealthy individuals are inspired to increase their charitable giving. Ordinary people start small campaigns to help their neighbors. But for Khalid, the impact is more personal. He carries Sam's story with him everywhere, using it as a touchstone when business decisions feel abstract and disconnected from human reality. He teaches his daughter to see people, to care about their suffering, to use her advantages to lift others up. He speaks at conferences and events, always bringing the conversation back to individual responsibility and collective compassion. Years later, when Sam is in college studying to become a teacher, working part-time at a youth center in an underserved neighborhood, someone asks if having a billionaire change your life creates pressure to live up to impossible expectations. Sam thinks about the question seriously before responding. "Mr. Al-Rahman didn't save me to create some perfect success story. He saved me because I was a child in need, and he had the ability to help. What I do with that gift is my responsibility, not his burden. But yes, I feel an obligation, not to him specifically, but to everyone who's still where I was 5 years ago. There are thousands of kids in this city alone who are selling things on street corners, watching parents die from treatable illnesses, losing hope before they're old enough to even understand what hope is. I can't save all of them, but I can be the teacher who sees them in the classroom, who recognizes when a child is struggling with more than just homework. I can be the person who stops instead of walking past." That's what he taught me. Not that I owe him my success, but that I owe others my attention, my compassion, my willingness to help when I can. It's not pressure, it's purpose. This is what Khalid's one decision on a cold November evening has created. Not just 2 lives saved, but a philosophy passed forward, a commitment to care that will ripple out through Sam's future students, through Amara's charitable work, through everyone who heard the story and decided to stop walking past. 10 years after that fateful night, Khalid receives an invitation to speak at a TED conference. The topic: the economics of compassion. He almost declines. He's given so many speeches over the years, told the story so many times, that he worries it's losing its impact through repetition. But then he thinks about the audience, about the potential reach, and accepts. Standing on the red circle under bright lights, Khalid tells the story one more time. But this time, there's a twist he hasn't shared publicly before. "I need to tell you something I've kept private for a decade," he says, his voice carrying through the silent auditorium. "That night when I stopped to talk to Sam, I had just come from a meeting where I'd agreed to invest $200 million in a luxury resort development. $200 million for a property that would serve the wealthiest 1%. A vanity project that would generate returns but serve no real purpose beyond making rich people richer. I walked out of that meeting feeling empty, even before I saw Sam. Something had been bothering me for months, maybe years. A growing sense that my life had become untethered from meaning. I had more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, but I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt truly fulfilled. Success had become a game of accumulation without purpose. When I saw that child on the sidewalk, My first instinct wasn't compassion, it was annoyance. I was running late for dinner. I had calls to return. I didn't want to be confronted with suffering when I was trying to enjoy an evening in New York. I almost kept walking. The audience is completely still, hanging on every word. But something made me stop. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was memory of my own childhood. Maybe it was divine intervention. I leave that for others to decide. Whatever the reason, I stopped. And in stopping, I found what I'd been searching for without realizing it. Purpose. Here's what the media never reports. I canceled that resort investment. $200 million that would have generated maybe a 20% return over 5 years, I redirected into a foundation focused on helping families facing medical bankruptcy. In 10 years, we've helped over 3,000 families. We've saved lives, kept families together, prevented children from ending up on street corners selling flowers. The financial return on that investment is zero. The human return is incalculable. He pauses, letting the words sink in. People ask me if I regret giving up that profit. They ask if I'm worried about looking soft or foolish in the business community, if I'm concerned that emotional decisions make for bad economics. The answer is simple. I've never felt richer than I do now. Wealth without purpose is just numbers, money that sits in accounts, generating returns that I'll never spend, helping no one. What's the point? Sam didn't just change my life through our interaction. That child showed me what I'd forgotten, that we're only as wealthy as the good we can do with our resources, that success without service is just sophisticated selfishness, that the real measure of a life isn't what you accumulate but what you give away, and how many people are better off because you existed. After the talk, Khalid is approached by dozens of people, CEOs, entrepreneurs, investors. Many of them confess to feeling the same emptiness he described, the same sense that their success has become untethered from meaning. Several commit on the spot to redirecting portions of their wealth toward similar foundations. A few younger entrepreneurs tell him they're reconsidering their entire business models, looking for ways to build profit and purpose together. One woman, a hedge fund manager worth hundreds of millions, tells him through tears that she's been walking past homeless people on her block for 5 years, training herself not to see them because their suffering made her uncomfortable. "I'm going to stop tomorrow," she promises. "I'm going to see them." That night, Khalid video calls Linda and Sam. Linda is now working full-time at the bookstore, managing 3 locations and mentoring young employees. Her cancer remains in remission, though she still goes for regular checkups. The fear never entirely leaves. Every scan is a moment of held breath, but she's learned to live with uncertainty while embracing joy. Sam is in graduate school now, getting a master's in education while working at an after-school program in the Bronx. The program serves kids from families like Sam's was, struggling, on the edge, one crisis away from collapse. Sam has become exactly the teacher envisioned a decade ago, someone who sees children others overlook, who recognizes potential in places where others see only problems. "I got a call today from a journalist," Sam tells Khalid. "She's writing a follow-up piece, wants to know what I think about all the attention our story still gets after so many years." "What did you tell her?" Khalid asks. "That I hope people stop focusing on you as some kind of saint and start recognizing that anyone could have done what you did, that you're not special for being kind, you should be normal, that the real story isn't about one billionaire having a moment of compassion, but about how many people walk past suffering every single day, and what it would mean if they all stopped." Khalid smiles. "You're going to make a lot of people uncomfortable with that message." "Good," Sam says firmly. "Comfort is what lets us ignore each other's pain. Discomfort might actually motivate change." Linda laughs, the sound healthy and strong. "My child, the revolutionary educator." They talk for another hour, sharing stories about their days, making plans for an upcoming visit. It's ordinary and wonderful. 3 people who shouldn't have been connected, whose paths crossed by accident or fate, who have chosen to remain family despite having no biological or legal obligation to each other. After ending the call, Khalid sits in silence for a long moment. He's 73 years old now, his beard fully white, his body less resilient than it once was. He's thinking about legacy, about what remains when we're gone. His business empire will be divided among heirs and investors. His buildings will stand for decades before being torn down and replaced. His name might appear in history books as a footnote in the story of global finance. But Sam will teach thousands of children over a career spanning decades. Those children will grow up to be parents, teachers, leaders, carrying forward the lessons Sam teaches them. Amara is already running the family foundation, expanding its reach, helping more families every year. The journalists, CEOs, and ordinary people who heard the story have made their own choices to stop and see each other. This is legacy, not monuments or fortunes, but chains of compassion that spread out beyond any individual's ability to track them. The man from Kuwait probably never imagined that helping one refugee family would eventually lead to a billionaire stopping on a Manhattan sidewalk to help a child selling flowers, which would lead to foundations serving thousands of families, which would inspire countless individuals to make their own choices toward kindness. We are all links in chains we can't fully see, Khalid realizes. Every act of compassion creates ripples that spread further than we know. Every moment we stop instead of walking past, we alter the course of someone's life, which alters other lives, which changes the world in ways impossible to predict or measure. 2 weeks later, Khalid is back in Dubai when he receives an unexpected email. It's from an address he doesn't recognize. The subject line simply, "Thank you." The email is from a young man named Marcus, living in Atlanta. He writes that he saw Khalid's TED Talk, and it changed his life. Marcus had been walking to work every day past a homeless veteran who sat on the same corner, and he'd trained himself not to see the man, to look at his phone or across the street, anything to avoid engaging. After watching Khalid's talk, Marcus stopped. He learned the veteran's name was Thomas, that he'd served 2 tours in Afghanistan before returning home with PTSD that cost him his job, his family, his housing. Marcus started bringing Thomas coffee every morning, then breakfast. He helped Thomas navigate the VA system to access benefits he was entitled to but hadn't known about. He connected Thomas with a social worker and eventually a subsidized apartment. Thomas moved into his new place last week, Marcus writes. He's got a job interview lined up. His daughter is back in his life, and he's seeing a therapist regularly. I couldn't have done what you did for Sam. I don't have millions of dollars, but I had time and attention and the willingness to care. You taught me that was enough. I'm telling you this because I want you to know that your one decision keeps creating more decisions. I stopped for Thomas because you stopped for Sam. And yesterday, Thomas told me he's volunteering at a shelter now, helping other veterans navigate the system that failed him. He's passing it forward too. We're all in this chain together, Mr. Al-Rahman. Thank you for showing us how. Khalid reads the email 3 times, tears streaming down his face. He forwards it to Sam with a simple message. This is what we started. Sam replies immediately, this is what we're continuing. It never stops, as long as we keep choosing each other. The story could end here, with this neat circle of cause and effect, inspiration and action, problems solved and lives saved. But real stories don't have clean endings, because life continues, messy and complicated, and full of both beauty and suffering. Linda's cancer comes back when she's 49. It's a different type this time, more aggressive. The doctors fight it with everything modern medicine can offer, and Khalid ensures she has access to experimental treatments and the best specialists money can buy. But some battles can't be won, no matter how much wealth or will you throw at them. She dies on a Tuesday morning in spring, Sam holding one hand and Khalid holding the other. Her last words are, "Thank you for giving me time. Thank you for letting me see my child grow up." The funeral is held at the same church that once housed the shelter where Khalid first met her. The building has been renovated over the years. Khalid quietly funded improvements, but the cross still sits above the door, illuminated by that same spotlight. Hundreds of people attend, bookstore colleagues, other families from the shelter, people whose lives Linda touched in her 15 bonus years. Sam delivers the eulogy with a steady voice despite obvious grief. My mother got 15 years she wasn't supposed to have. 15 years of watching me grow up, of celebrating holidays and birthdays, of building a life worth living. Some people get 80 years and waste them. My mom got 49 and made every single day matter. She taught me that life isn't measured in years, but in moments, in morning coffee conversations, in books shared and discussed, in kindness given and received. She taught me that survival isn't the same as living, and that choosing joy in the face of suffering is an act of profound courage. And she taught me that we're not alone unless we choose to be, that families aren't just biology but choice, and that asking for help is strength, not weakness. Sam looks directly at Khalid, sitting in the front pew beside Amara. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for giving my mother 15 years. And giving me a future. I will spend the rest of my life trying to honor that gift. After the funeral, at the reception, people share Linda's stories. The young employee she mentored who's now managing her own bookstore location. The customer who came in every week to discuss whatever Linda was reading. Who credits her with renewing his love of literature. The other cancer survivors she counseled through their own treatments, sharing both practical advice and hard-won hope. An elderly woman approaches Khalid. You don't know me, she says. But Linda helped my granddaughter 6 years ago. My granddaughter was struggling in school, falling through the cracks, and Linda noticed. She started giving her books, talking to her about stories and characters, helping her discover that reading could be an escape and a joy. My granddaughter is in college now, studying literature. She credits Linda with changing her trajectory. Linda never mentioned that, Khalid says softly. She wouldn't have, the woman replies. That's who she was. She just helped people quietly, without needing recognition or praise. She passed forward what you gave her. The observation hits Khalid hard. He saved Linda so she could save others, who will go on to save others still. The chain continues, link after link, spreading out beyond any individual's ability to track. Sam takes a year off from graduate school to grieve and process. Khalid offers support without pushing, understanding that some losses require time and space to integrate. They still have their monthly dinners, though now it's just the two of them, plus occasionally Amara. The conversations are different without Linda, quieter, more reflective, touched by the awareness of impermanence. Do you think she knew, Sam asks one evening over dinner, that her cancer would come back, that the remission was temporary? Khalid considers the question carefully. I think she hoped for the best but understood the reality. Cancer is never truly gone, just held at bay. Every day she lived was a day she fought for and won. 15 years, Sam says quietly. 15 years because you stopped on a sidewalk. 15 years because she fought like hell to stay with you. Khalid corrects. I provided resources, but she provided the will to live. Never underestimate what she contributed to her own survival. Sam wipes away tears. I miss her so much. I know, I miss her too. They sit in silence for a while. Two people connected by loss and love and a chance encounter that changed everything. Sam eventually returns to graduate school and completes the degree, then starts teaching full-time at a middle school in a low-income neighborhood in Brooklyn. The students are tough. Many come from broken homes, face poverty and violence, carry trauma that makes learning feel impossible. Sam recognizes them immediately because Sam was them, not so long ago. In the classroom, Sam is patient and demanding in equal measure, setting high expectations while providing unwavering support. Sam sees the quiet kid in the back who's clearly brilliant but disengaged, pulls them aside, asks what's wrong, learns about an alcoholic parent and food insecurity and exhaustion from working a part-time job. Sam connects the family with resources, makes sure the kid gets breakfast and lunch at school, creates space for homework help after classes end. Sam notices the girl who's always angry, quick to fight, struggles to sit still. Instead of punishment, Sam investigates and discovers untreated ADHD, a system that has failed to identify and support her needs. Sam advocates with administrators, gets her properly evaluated, ensures she receives accommodations that allow her intelligence to shine through the chaos. One student at a time, Sam does what Khalid did a lifetime ago, stops and sees, chooses compassion over convenience, believes that individual actions can shift trajectories. Not every story has a happy ending. Some students can't be saved from circumstances too overwhelming for any teacher to fix. But enough of them respond, enough of them thrive, enough of them go on to break cycles of poverty and trauma that Sam knows the work matters. 5 years into teaching, Sam receives an email from a former student named Destiny. She's graduating from college, the first person in her family to do so. And she wants Sam to know that it wouldn't have happened without Sam's intervention and support during 8th grade. You saw me when I was invisible, Destiny writes. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You taught me that one person caring can make all the difference. I'm going to be a social worker now, helping kids like I was. I'm passing it forward, just like you taught me. Sam forwards the email to Khalid with the message. The chain continues. Khalid is 80 years old when he receives that email. His health is declining. Heart problems. The inevitable deterioration of age. He knows his time is limited, measured now in months rather than years. But reading Destiny's words, understanding that Sam's student will go on to help dozens or hundreds of others, each of whom might help others still, it fills him with profound peace. The chain continues. That's all that matters. That. Not individual glory or recognition, not monuments or fortunes, just the simple fact that kindness breeds kindness, that compassion creates more compassion, that we are all connected in ways we can't fully comprehend. On a quiet evening in Dubai, Khalid sits in his study and writes a letter. His hands shake with age and illness, making the script uneven, but the words come easily. Dear Sam, he writes, by the time you read this, I will be gone. Please don't grieve too much. I have lived a long life, far longer than the boy in the refugee camp had any right to expect. I have been blessed beyond measure, and much of that blessing came from knowing you and your mother. I want you to understand something important. You didn't need me to become who you are. You were always going to be extraordinary, always going to help others, always going to make the world better. I just provided resources and opportunity. You provided the heart, the courage, the commitment to pass forward what you received. The foundation will continue after I'm gone. Amara will run it, and she's more capable than I ever was. You'll always have support for your work, for your students, for whatever you need to keep helping others. But more than money, I hope I've given you something else. A model for how to live with purpose, how to use whatever resources you have. Time, attention, compassion, to reduce suffering and expand possibility. Tell your students about the man from Kuwait who saved a refugee boy. Tell them about the night we met on Fifth Avenue. Tell them about your mother's courage and your own survival. Tell them that chains of kindness spread out beyond our ability to track them, that every act of compassion creates ripples we'll never fully see. Most importantly, tell them they matter. Every single one of them matters. Their struggles are real. Their pain is valid. And they deserve to be seen and supported and believed in. Be for them what I tried to be for you. Someone who stops instead of walking past, who chooses compassion over convenience, who believes that individual actions can change the world. Thank you for letting me be part of your story. Thank you for being part of mine. Thank you for showing me that wealth without purpose is meaningless, and that the real measure of a life is how many people are better off because you existed. Pass it forward, Sam. Always pass it forward. That's how we change the world. One person, one moment, one act of kindness at a time. With love and gratitude, Khalid. He seals the letter and gives it to his lawyer with instructions to deliver it after his death. 3 weeks later, his heart gives out in his sleep. He dies peacefully, surrounded by family. His last thoughts of a cold November evening 20 years ago, when he made the choice that defined the rest of his life. The funeral is held in Dubai, but Sam flies over to attend. Amara delivers a eulogy that speaks of her father's business accomplishments, his charitable work, his role as a parent and mentor, but she spends most of the time talking about a child selling flowers and a decision to stop and see. My father taught me that we're only as wealthy as the good we can do with our resources, Amara says. He showed me that success without service is just sophisticated selfishness. He demonstrated that the most important thing any of us can do is simply stop and see each other, to care about each other's suffering, to act when we have the ability to help. He saved Sam and Linda, yes, but in doing so, he saved me too. Saved me from a life of meaningless accumulation, from the emptiness of wealth without purpose. He taught me how to be human in a world that often rewards us for looking away. After the funeral, Sam and Amara sit together, sharing stories about the man who connected them. He changed my life, Sam says. He changed mine too, Amara responds. And through us, he'll change thousands more. That's legacy. They make a pact that day to continue the work, to expand the foundation, to help more families, to create more chains of kindness, spreading out into a future neither of them will live to fully see. It's what Khalid would have wanted. It's what Linda would have wanted. It's what the man from Kuwait, wherever he is, would want. The story doesn't end here because stories like this don't end. They just continue. Link after link. Person after person, moment after moment. Somewhere right now, someone is walking past suffering they could help address. Somewhere, someone is training themselves not to see another human being in need. And somewhere, someone is stopping, choosing compassion, making the decision that will ripple out in ways they'll never fully comprehend. We are all links in chains we can't fully see. We are all capable of being someone's miracle. We all have the power to stop instead of walking past, to care about each other's suffering, to act when we have even the smallest ability to help. That's the real story. Not about one billionaire and one child, but about what happens when any of us chooses compassion over convenience, when we decide that another person's suffering matters more than our own comfort, when we stop and see each other as we truly are, fragile, struggling, worthy humans who all deserve kindness and support. The Arab billionaire met a child selling flowers on a cold November evening. What he did next created ripples that spread out across decades, touching thousands of lives, inspiring countless acts of kindness, proving that individual actions matter more than we can ever know. And the chain continues, link after link after link, spreading out into infinity, forever passing forward the simple truth that we are our brother's keepers, that we are all connected, and that the most important thing any of us can do is simply stop and see each other. Pass it forward. Always pass it forward. That's how we change the world.